Welcome to the Property Renovation Podcast with your host, James Woodham, giving you the best tips on achieving the perfect renovation whilst making it as fun, safe, and as cost-effective as possible by hearing from experts in the industry and people that have been through the experience themselves. Let me introduce your host, 3 times award winner of leading renovation website House, and over 15 years in the industry, renovating just over 200 properties, James Woodham.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Property Renovation Podcast. This is episode 3, and we are going to be discussing today. I've got 7 ways to budget for your project. And before I start, I just want to say that renovating a property can be exciting and scary at some times. So we're here to discover topics on the renovation and give them to you in a different way, providing you with knowledge, tips and tricks of the industry. To do that, we actually speak to building contractors and designers and architects, and most importantly, other members of the public, and we get their views on any projects that they've done in the past or what they've got coming up. And then it gives you an insight and what their ideas and concerns are. So every episode should benefit you. And if there is a topic you want us to discuss, then just get in touch with us by subscribing to our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Property Renovation Podcast. Make sure you share it, and you can subscribe to us, subscribe to this podcast on iTunes as well. So a bit of housekeeping. Episode 1, we discussed about contracts and why it's important to have a contract. And then on episode 2, we discussed about finding the right tradesman and how you find the right tradesman. Okay, so let's start. So on this episode, we're going to discuss, I've got 7 ways of budgeting for your project. And just to bullet point them, this is about doing your research, having an alternative in each product that you choose, deciding how much you want to spend and sticking to it, knowing how the costs will break down, setting aside a contingency or 20% of your budget, making a list of your renovation priorities, and finally knowing the details of how you will pay for this project. Okay, so let's start. So number 1, doing the renovation in doing your research in how much things cost. Now you can do this in so many ways, by looking online, looking in magazines, going on other blogs and forums, visiting shops the traditional way, and you can ask within our own group, which is the Property Renovation Podcast on Facebook. There's so much competition in the market there, and you will see sales going on all day, every month, and you should just check them out because there's some amazing bargains out there. But also check the reviews as well, and see what other people are saying about what things cost. That will be on another episode as well, and we're going to talk about not going cheap in certain areas when you're looking to do a project. Number 2 is about having the alternative, product that you would be happy with. Now, there's always a cheaper model of each product out there that looks almost identical, and some products look the same. But bear in mind, these products might be reasonably priced, but they may be expensive to install. Now, just a typical example, if you're looking to buy some taps for your bathroom, maybe some bath taps, and you quite like the ones that go on the wall and they're wall mounted and all of the pipes are hidden, you have to think about the additional cost installing them, which will actually be, that will help you make the choice of buying those taps in the first place. It's quite expensive to put pipes in the wall and mount those taps on and then tile all around them. So just, check with your building company and say, listen, I've got this product, and how much would it cost you to install this one? And then you can think about having an alternative as well. Number 3 is making sure you know what you want to spend and then sticking to it. There's always temptation along the way when you're doing your project, and it's difficult to keep to your agreed budget. Always review it as well. Speaking to the building company halfway through the project is a really good idea, because you can get an update on the costs, you know where you are, and you've got no surprises along the way. And I think that's a really good point, just making sure that you're always on up to date with your costs and your expenditure, so that then you're just got a peace of mind and you can just have a look at that. Number 4, knowing how the costs will break down. Now, always ask your building company, when they give you a quote, ask them to break it down as much as they can. And remember that it needs to be worth their while as well. So if you start to shave off quite a lot of the installation, or try to do things yourself as well, then there's 2 things that can happen. If you try to do it yourself, then you could end up doing that thing twice, which would cost more in the long run. But if you also start to take off too much, it might not be worth their while, and the building company might not be any more interested in doing the project. So just be careful about that. Speak to them. There are going to be some options. There's obviously some flexibility with every building company out there. So just look into that and see what you can do. Okay, so number 5, setting aside about 20% of your budget to handle for the unexpected. Now, this is where you should set a contingency. Not a lot of people do this, and it can really be a gamble on your project. But always, set about 20% aside so that you can deal with any emergency works. And by emergency works, I mean that what are necessary, the works that are necessary for the original project idea to be achieved. So this is not including any additional luxury items that you want to purchase. It's important to remember that when you're thinking about this and the contingency, you need to think, what am I doing this project for? And am I going to see a return on investment to make a fair judgment? Maybe you're looking to renovate the property to then sell it straight away and put it on the market. So you need to just have a look. Am I going to see a return on my investment? And is it worth putting in the contingency? Number 6 is making a list of your renovation priorities. Now, think about and discuss with other family members, if they're involved, about the priorities. Those should come first. And if there is anything left, then you can spend it on some luxuries. But always think about the priorities first, the ultimate things that you are trying to achieve out of this project. And finally, number 7, know the details of how you're going to pay for this project. Perhaps you've remortgaged your house. Perhaps you've got a loan out. Perhaps you've borrowed some money from a family member. If there is any interest that's involved in the loan or the remortgage, then you need to, you're going to be paying this back. So you should factor in all of that cost, that additional interest cost as well, just to make sure that, the project is going to be worthwhile and you're going to benefit for many years from it. So just to summarize, do your research, have an alternative for every product that you choose, decide how much you want to spend and stick to it, know how the costs are going to be broken down by your building company, set aside a contingency like 20% for the project, make a list of all the renovation priorities that you've got, and number 7, know the details of how you will pay for this. I hope this has been helpful to you, and if it has, then don't forget to share it. Again, you can go on to facebook.com/groups/the Property Renovation Podcast and come and join the community and start discussing your project. Ask any questions in there you need to ask. I'm sure there'll be someone there that can help you. Don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe to us on the podcast. Go to iTunes and search for the Property Renovation Podcast. And see you on the next episode. Thank you very much.